where the audio recording will actually start.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm just going to start it now. That's what we're going to call it, and then we'll call it good from there.
Go for it.
Welcome. Number 60, One More Game podcast. We're live. We're back to doing it live, actually.
Yeah, well, now that we got most of the bugs out of the way, now we can do it live.
Yeah. We were in a little good flow for a while. We survived a couple of live ones, took our hiatus, and now we're back.
Yeah. Hopefully once we get the bugs all worked out, we can do this on the regular now.
Yes, I'd agree with you. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. Good. It's a busy weekend. It's just been pretty crazy with work and with everything else and graphics and all my normal stuff that I'm busy with. But other than that, we had a pretty busy week when it came to gaming. Some good, some bad.
Isn't that how it goes? It's
Yeah.
good, bad, or if you're in Apex, it goes bad for a few nights, maybe a week, and then it starts to come back.
But then you get a win, and it all goes away.
God, it's like golf. So, and that's how I equate a lot of the battle royale games and all that other stuff is to like playing golf. Do you play golf in real life?
I do actually. I went golfing yesterday.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. I'm actually I golf kind of regularly actually, but it's fun.
I didn't know that. Well, that's good to know. Mm-hmm. But yes, so me, I've been golfing on or off, off or on, depending on how you want to talk, for 15, 20 years now. Still not the best at it. I tell people it's because I'm so swole that it's hard to correctly swing a golf club when your lats are always getting in the way.
Or your gut.
What's that?
Or my gut.
Or gut. That's probably enough. Lats are far more of a handicap, but it's like golf. You have shitty shots, but you get that one sweet touch and you're like, oh, that feels so much better, and that's why you play.
Then you're back to just being a pro again.
Yeah, exactly.
in your own mind.
110%. Yeah. That's how it goes. But yeah, that's the life of Apex. But we had a pretty good run. You are definitely getting better.
Yeah, we've been playing a lot. It's actually been kind of fun actually being able to share a game together and play on the regular. So we've actually recruited, well, my son's been playing with us as a third, and we've also joined up on the Apex Discord server, and we gained a couple from there. But it's been fun. I'm really enjoying the game. I'm actually enjoying that way more than playing Fortnite right now. So
yeah, I think well, just speaking of the Apex Discord, I have not seen, I'm not in too many games Discords, but I have not seen a Discord set up like the way Apex has it, with the chat rooms where you can kind of link up and do the LFG thing. Dude, that is an amazing thing to use.
Yeah, there's like 200 chat rooms in there, and it's divided up into regions. So you can either be in the European region or North American or Asia or whatever. And yeah, you basically just look for somebody who's solo queuing, shoot them a message real quick. Hey, do you need you need someone? And then they say yes or no, and then you join the room and off you go.
Yeah, and it's handy. And you just don't have to leave anything. You don't even really have to go anywhere else. You just go into the room. But I like that. I really do like that feature that they have in the Apex Discord. Discord's amazing.
Yeah, that's what we're using right now to catch our beautiful video here is Discord. But
sometimes it can be a bit of a pain in the ass.
It can be sometimes when it doesn't want to capture audio or the audio cuts out, but
the window and all that other stuff.
But other than that, all that stuff has been fine.
Yeah.
So
that's the
but yeah, said for what it's worth, especially in the world of Fortnite, it's been a big week.
It has. World Cup 2019. One will remain. Well, if you're doing solos.
This is true. And I don't know how to is his name, is it Booga? I don't know how to I don't know how to properly pronounce his name, but yeah, he was a young guy, won, and took $3 million.
And I think I heard him or somebody was talking about it, which is actually like a 1.5 million.
Yeah, because taxes
take home or two, something like that.
But still, dude, if you take home $1 million playing Fortnite, you're doing something right.
And he's a teenager who lives in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
lucky.
Basically became very famous very quickly. And yeah, like I said, kudos to him, man. He did a really good job.
Yeah, he really did.
I watched part of it.
We watched some of it. It's man. Well, before we get into too much of that, did you happen to watch the Marshmallow event?
I did not. I heard about it. I was gonna check it on YouTube just so I can see what it was like. Actually, I heard something that he was like he had a kind of beef with somebody during it, but
really,
I think it was Alice in Wonderland. Yeah.
Mellow King. That goes against what his very name is.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
You know.
But it was a little cringeworthy. I'm not gonna lie. Like I checked it out because I'm actually starting to be a fan of Marsh. Well, I'm not starting to. I like a lot of his music. I like a lot of what he does. Um,
Mhm.
but it's the stadium wherever they did it wasn't exactly packed. There was definitely a lot of space there. It's obviously more for your internet crowd because it's going to be streamed.
Yeah.
It's definitely there more for your internet crowd. Um, but he was definitely trying to hype up the whole 5 or 6 people in the seats.
Yeah. I've seen him live before. He actually puts on a really good
Oh, dude,
show.
I can imagine. I would actually like to see him live. I think that'd be a pretty fun thing to check out.
I've seen him in both iterations because if you're in the know in the electronic music world, you actually know who he really is, and he's another DJ that I've actually seen and I'm actually a big fan of.
You know what? It's funny you brought that up because one night I got stuck down that rabbit hole of looking at things like that, and I was faked, I think, by 2 or 3 images that I was like, nah, that's
Hmm.
definitely not him. Then I came across what I believed to be him, and I was like, well, he
Hmm.
just looks like a normal nerdy DJ.
Yep.
Plays Fortnite.
No, he's a his name is Chris Comstock. Everyone knows that, and his other DJ persona is .com is his name, and
Not to
I've
be
actually been
confused
a
with
fan.
Kim.com.
Not Kim.com. No, this is just .com, and I've been a fan of .com for a long time. And there was a bunch of things that pointed the finger that that was him, and that's who we all believe is him, even though he denies it. But we all know it's him
Mm,
because just like Batman, you never see Marshmallow.com at the same festival at the same time.
ever. He's got to change to
Nope,
get into his. Dude,
it's
you
white.
see him play a lot of Fortnite, man. Like trying to hook his headset up because he won't take it off in front of everybody. Obviously,
Hmm.
he's got to have like one hell of a headset thing going on underneath there. And then when he leaks into the Matrix,
Hmm. Yeah, it's I don't know what it is. That those guys who wear helmets and stuff like that. I know, like there's Dead Mouse and there's um, Dead Mouse and Bear Grylls and these guys that are all DJs that wear masks or wear helmets and stuff like that. I mean, Dead Mouse never really tried to hide who he was.
right?
He's Joel Zimmerman. Everyone knows that, and he's a big PUBG player actually,
Yeah.
um, or was, and a Twitch streamer. And then these guys that do this kind of stuff, it's cool, I guess, to have an anonymity, but you know,
Yeah.
whatever. He's a good Fortnite player. That's all that everyone cares about.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess jumped around a little bit. We'll just kind of cut to all the Fortnite stuff, but just a couple of other interesting side stories that came out of that. Duo winners in, I believe it's Nyrox and Aqua. Aqua.
Mhm.
Um,
Wow.
yep, they went ahead. They won duos. Kudos to them. But the second place winners, Rojo or Rojo, however you want to say it, Wolfies,
Rojo.
placed second. Well, Jay, me and you have had this conversation before, and what I bet you didn't know is that Wolfies play second duos using a controller.
I read, and that was actually
Oh,
pretty.
damn.
That made me happy because I'm a controller player too.
You are. Now, see, here's where it gets kind of crazy, though, I think, is that most people who play in the World Cup, they were using Epic-issued Logitech mice. They also allow people to compete with standard Xbox One console controllers as well as the Scuff Vantage controllers. Only 2 people out of the entire population who were there to play the tournament, only 2 elected to use controllers. Now, there is a little bit of controversy surrounding that, and I bet you know what I'm going to say next. What does it involve?
Aim assist.
Aim assist.
Mhm.
Epic's argument is they're playing the same settings that are available in the live game. What say you?
Um, it's funny. I guess maybe since I don't play mouse and keyboard, that's the difference. I've tried to play mouse and keyboard before, but I don't notice a difference when it comes to aim assist. And maybe in a game like Destiny, I do. I haven't tried it with Apex or Fortnite to know the difference. I am pretty much a controller player through and through. So uh, I I don't know. As far as it being legit or not legit using it, I don't know. Did they win by like some kind of great margin?
No,
You know,
you'd have to. I think the other guy finished kind of mid towards the back, but I will say, obviously, I've kind of converted over to being a primary PC gamer. You can definitely tell on controller that stickiness. with aim assist. And I mean, they say it's everybody's playing on the same settings for a live field or on the same field, but are they really? If
I think
you're
for if
changing
I
something
think
like that,
I think if you're playing in a tournament, that it all should be equal no matter what.
I'd agree. And
So
yeah,
as far as that's concerned, I would say, yeah, I would say that they should not have been able to use a control.
yep. And I think you stick everybody on the same page. You've got to use this keyboard, this mouse. And I mean, there was quite a bit of outcry from the community about it. Aimer7 on Twitter, who is a Fortnite coach, Apex quote coach, can't talk tonight. Actually helped Fortnite pro player Som place where he did, who got second. His comment on Twitter was apparently aim assist in Fortnite is not OP at all, according to most controller players like Ghost Tissa, Aiden, ATL, blah, blah, blah. You guys wouldn't mind then if we gave aim assist to everyone, even mouse players would only make it fair, right? I thought it was pretty funny because I think he's got a good point.
I think controller players should play in a tournament against other players.
Yeah. And for the life of me, I'm not entirely sure why Epic took that stance. I never
understood that either, though. Why give aim assist to controllers if you're playing on PC? Like, why not just make it the same all across? I mean, is it really that big of a difference? I mean, you'll notice it, I guess, and I guess maybe your movement speed isn't that good,
right?
But hey, then learn how to play on a mouse and keyboard if you're going to be at that level.
Yeah, well, and I think it makes it interesting. But when you're talking 3 million up for grabs, everybody's got to be on the same page. It was like the NFL. What was it, years ago, we're having, the controversy surrounding the sticky gloves receivers were wearing, or Deflategate for the New England fans out there.
Anything that gives you a little bit of an edge,
Yeah.
I guess, I guess could be a problem. But yeah, I think that they should not have been able to use a controller.
Last bit that we'll touch on the Fortnite stuff, because I thought this one was another bozo move on Epic. Duo competitors, Ziff, XXIF, and his partner Ronaldo were booed when they appeared on the big screen.
Yeah,
you're going to ask why. Because they're cheaters. Now, this shit's crazy, dude. So they were banned 14 days after an internal review found they colluded with other players to get easy elimination points during Week 3 of the Fortnite World Cup qualifiers. Their team, Rise Nation, dropped them, and everybody basically knew from that on that they were kind of gaming the system. Later, Week 8, they qualified, securing third place in a spot for the finals. During the World Cup finals, they placed 28th, securing $50,000 each in prize money. Many people were pissed. Some were even wearing shirts that said "Lock Ziff Up" T-shirts. What the hell? Why, if they were known cheaters, and in this case, if you're basically getting easy eliminations with other players to game the system and get into the finals, you should be banned for the year.
Yeah, I don't think you should be able to play in the tournament if you've been banned for cheating. Yeah, especially if you should not have been able to play.
Yeah, I mean, you should. I feel you'd be out for the season. Like, you sit the duration of the season, you're gone. Try again next time. And what's crazy is Epic has been obviously asked about that very thing several times, and they haven't said anything past the initial ban.
No, especially if they're a decent sized player, I wonder if they're like everything else where they get a little bit more leeway than others would. I know we talk about that on Twitch, stuff like that. In fact, we're going to be probably talking about that coming up here. Right. But if they're a crowd pleasing, I guess they're not really a crowd pleasing favorite though, if they're getting booed because they're even in the tournament to begin with. I don't think, like I said, I don't think you should have been able to play at all.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. And I think, honestly, I feel like Epic kind of owes an explanation. It's their tournament, their game, and all that other stuff. But that's, to me, a pretty serious thing. And they've qualified, obviously, a couple weeks later. They probably could have qualified, obviously, without it. But I think it was pretty shitty on their part to even take that route.
Yep, I agree. But it was a cool tournament overall. I mean, it shows the influence that this game still has and how big it still is. It's still not going away. Like I said, I can't really play it anymore because I'm just not that good anymore.
Right.
Not to the level of what it is nowadays. I haven't even checked out the new season yet.
There's
I
Max.
know.
You'd be pissed.
So, but yeah, it's still out there. It's still a big thing.
Yeah.
Obviously Fortnite was in the news again this past week because of their big boy and Twitch's big boy left
No!
Twitch. Left Twitch.
Say
Ninja
it
has left
so.
Twitch to go play on Mixer, which that was only a matter of time. I think.
Why?
I think for him, I mean, Twitch is all he really knows right now, or all he did know. So, depending on if Mixer cut him a really, really big paycheck to come over by him, or it be because he just wasn't agreeing with Twitch anymore on their terms and, how they do things. I think he was going to go explore other avenues. He wasn't going to stay on Twitch forever.
Well, and I think it's a safe assumption he's not going to leap over to a different streaming platform without getting paid.
Oh yeah, there had to be a reason.
Yes.
Like I said, whether it be, I mean, I kind of alluded to it a couple of minutes ago, but they've been having problems with their favoritism towards streamers, and of course, Ninja being the biggest streamer in the world, pretty much,
Yep.
Or at least the most well known. That if he's not agreeing with things, and if they're not going to change, or they weren't going to change for him, then he was going to go somewhere else. And yeah, I'm sure Mixer paid him very handsomely to come over.
Yeah, 110%. And I didn't really want to get into it too much because it's a little bit old news. But I couldn't help but wonder if yeeting cats, I believe, as they would say on stream, is going to be a welcomed affair over on the Mixer side, who actually have some pretty interesting terms of use.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing this for a while now of people being banned for, hitting their wives or being drunk on stream, too, or whatever. And if whether or not they're permanent bans, especially if it's a big streamer, because there was always that thing of like, if you're a big streamer and you're making a lot of money, well, you just kind of get a slap on the wrist to an offense that a smaller streamer would be probably permanently banned for.
Right.
Me personally, tossing your cat over your head, it's it's not something you want to do on stream. You shouldn't do that anyway. But I mean, at least, I'm one of those people that jokes and says, well, at least cats land on their feet. Now, there is no excuse for giving your cat vodka on stream. You can kill your cat doing that. But see, and she's still streaming.
Well, yeah, with zero repercussions.
No, she probably, lost some followers or whatever. But what, those followers will end up coming. At the moment, they're probably like, that's bullshit. I'm not following you. I'm not supporting you. And then a month later, they're like, oh, I want to sub to you again because you have a new emote. Well,
and I tell you, I didn't want to go into it too much, but you know what I thought was bad? Because once I saw that thing happening, knew Twitch wasn't going to do anything about it. Dude, like the absolute, I get what she did was fucked up, and she's a horrible person. She needs to be gone for a while and need some help. But goddamn it, internet, you are ruthless. There is vile shit, man. And we know that. We talk about that. Nowhere near, I'm not saying she didn't fuck up. She didn't do anything wrong. But God, dude, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is nuts.
I mean, is Dr. Disrespect streaming again?
Yeah, he's back at it. He got 3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah,
he got some time off.
Be a common person and go stream into a public bathroom and see what happens to you.
Yeah, no shit. You know how that works.
See, it's that double standard, and whether or not Ninja left because of hypocrisy or whatever, or double standard, or just because he was just after a paycheck, whatever. I mean, a lot of people called him a sellout for doing it. And what's more funny to me is, which I knew was going to happen, as soon as he announced he was leaving for Mixer, all of a sudden, a lot of other people were like, I might go see Mixer too. I mean, dude, if you don't think that Mixer had that on their mind when they offered to pay this money to him, or whatever reason that he left, that people were not going to follow him, and say, I'm going to go to Mixer too. I've streamed on Mixer before. I actually stream on both platforms. When I stream, when I do like multi-streams with other artists, Mixer is just easier to use. You can do multiple, you can have up to 4 windows on one screen. We do it all the time. favor one more than the other. My main is Twitch. My main will be Twitch. That's where my followers are. That's where my subs are, and everything. And I never had anything bad to say towards Mixer. And as far as Twitch goes, I'm smart. I don't throw cats. I don't give the vodka to cats. I don't beat my wife on stream. I I don't have anything to be worried about other than maybe playing music that I shouldn't once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But mute my VOD. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, this was a business move, whether anybody wants to admit that or not. This was, either he's chasing money or he just wanted to explore other options or whatever. But you know what? Who cares? That's his multi-million-dollar decision to make for himself. Nobody else needs to interject with that. And what's even funnier to me is that, like I said, I remember I said this to you in chat one day that I was going to be interested to see what his team was going to do, if Lupo and Courage and those guys were going to jump ship too. And it doesn't look like they're going to.
Not yet, at least.
No, obviously they're not. They don't have anything going for Mixer right now. They don't need to.
Right.
So I didn't hear Dr. Lupo saying anything bad about Mixer or about Twitch. After Ninja left, he's still getting paid.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what's interesting about that is Loaded is the company that handles a lot of Ninja's digital distribution, partnerships, endorsements, personal appearances, yada, yada, yada. His wife's actually his main manager, but that company also manages Lupo, Courage, and, some other big ones as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, if the floodgates have opened for that. It's definitely a turnaround because, I think an episode or two ago, we talked about like one of the big community managers from Mixer, I think, was leaving. And it really kind of seemed like Mixer was almost on its way out, like on its deathbed. And I was not expecting, personally, when I heard there was a big announcement coming, that it was going to be this. I was shocked.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I read a lot of little, rumblings on Twitter of, streamers being asked what they were going to do. And I think it was, and it's funny because a lot of them I don't think have loyalty to Twitch. They have loyalty to the paycheck that they get, whether it be from their subscribers or whatever, and there's people who said, like, I would not go to Mixer unless I could support my family like I support it right now.
Right.
I did do a rehost. Oh, I tweeted, type at me. Live.
I just forgot to do the same thing. That's why I was trying to sneak it in there. Damn, now we got to edit it because you brought it up.
No, keep it in there. It's
but anyways.
So yeah, but I mean, a lot of people said that they said they weren't going to leave unless they were be able to support their families like they do right now. They don't have a loyalty. They have loyalty like any other job has. You can work at a restaurant. If you could get paid at another restaurant, you're going to say, "Fuck McDonald's, I'm going over here."
Right.
You don't have a loyalty just because you work with them.
No, I agree. I think I popped into, I think it was a day after maybe that announcement was made, and he wasn't streaming, and that chat was filled.
Mm-hmm.
See, I mean, he's got like 100,000 followers at least already, something insane going on over there.
It wasn't going to take long.
No, hell no.
And I don't know how Mixer's, how their partnership program is, how that stuff goes. I don't really know how that works as far as they do. Like I said, I don't really stream on Mixer all that much. But hey, more power to him. If that's going to help him and that's where he's going to end up, cool.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't care. It doesn't hurt me at all.
And I think what's cool now is that soon you'll be able to go to Target and pick up your favorite streamer figures. Have you seen these yet?
I thought I read something about that kind of stuff. Is it a Funko? Is it Funko or is it?
I don't think it's actually like the official Funko, but they basically are going for the same style. But it's you can get your toy figures here seen from Target. Have some of your favorite streamers. Tim the Tap Man was on there. Ninja, of course. Dr. Disrespect, who I was kind of shocked to see in something like that. But yeah, so soon you'll be able to do all that kind of stuff. And holy crap, man. Let's move over Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, now we just got Blue Hair Ninja.
Yeah.
Or whatever color it is this week.
And you never know what it's going to be. It's the crazy part about his hair. Like
it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's going to be interesting to see what Mixer does. It's going to be big as long as he's there. in terms of what that does to other people, I think remains to be seen.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still people watching. There's still people watching Fortnite on Twitch. Obviously, it's still a big thing. It's still there.
Mm.
I'm using my metric right now. Tifu's playing right now. 48,000 people. He's still Booga's playing. So they're still there. They didn't go anywhere.
Yep.
So, but see, Twitch needed some healthy competition.
They do.
They were kind of cornering the market for a while, so they needed this. They needed Mixer to kind of ramp them up a little bit, which is good. It's good. It's good for competition.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think my main hope out of it is honestly that a lot of people leave, and Twitch wakes up and realizes they have a serious problem when it comes to gender, celebrity status, popularity, and how nothing over there is the same. Like one of the things I had read about earlier today, and I didn't get too many notes on it, so I just hit the wavelengths, was Mixer has like a no shit dress code basically on what you'll appear in. Like if you have a tank top, you are automatically moved to the 18 and up. You got to be in like a full-blown t-shirt style thing if you're going to be below that, which honestly I kind of like, to be totally honest with you. I mean, Twitch these days, little kids can go on there and they can see all kinds of stuff, but what's to stop them from going Pornhub too? That's free there too. True. But I do like certain things like that being considered, because that is certainly a fucking problem on Twitch.
They said that their support staff is really good too on Mixer. Did you read today on Twitter? Dr. Lupo was banned from Mixer for impersonating Dr. Lupo, and he was. If you go to Lupo's his Twitter section, you can read about it. He was banned for impersonating himself. Apparently, they didn't think it was really him. And
that's awesome.
He basically went on there and was like, "Hey, Mixer, this is really me." And they're like, "Okay, we'll fix it." And they got on it within 10 minutes.
That's good. That's good to hear, at least.
Yeah. So, well, it's cool. Maybe more people will go check out Mixer and, give it a little bit of love. Like I said, Twitch has owned it for a long time.
Yeah.
So
they're
spread it out.
So talking esports, this story I found last month, finally getting around to covering it because I thought it was pretty cool. But I'm a huge Atlanta Braves fan. Love the Braves. Okay. Have for years. Found out last month that one of their closers, because we've had a rough season on closers. Hopefully that kind of turns around here soon, is actually the co-owner of an esports team.
Okay. Which team?
Raised by Kings. I had to look real quick because I accidentally moused up. Luke Jackson, Atlanta Braves closer, is owner of Raised by Kings esports team. Started it with his brother back in 2018. And he obviously also juggles this with being a pitcher for the Braves. So baseball season, he just tries to stay in the loop on things, and kind of do the best he can, because baseball, it's a long freaking season if you watch baseball. I love baseball, but it's a long season. But it got me looking into some other things. Let me back up here a little bit real quick. Fortnite World Cup solos. They had a player, Left Eye, who signed to that organization, placed 41st, took home $50K. A lot of Fortnite players, obviously. They had one finish at Blackheart Cup earlier this year. It's High Sky, who actually just left the organization August 1st. But I think it's really cool, and he can bring an interesting perspective as an athlete in the sport. Similar to, you got Nadeshot, who used to be a professional Call of Duty player. Now he's 100 Thieves. I think it's pretty cool that you're starting to see a lot of these athletes branch out into the esports crowd, because they've got the money to do it, obviously.
Yeah.
So I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and I was like, I wonder who else, real life athlete, and we can debate on real life athletes versus cyber athletes some other time. Lord knows we've done that many other episodes. But who else is involved? Popular with popular athletes, celebrities in esports. Found a couple of interesting ones that I didn't know. Michael Jordan, he's involved.
I would assume, I know that basketball players and basketball teams actually have their own esports.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few basketball players involved in it. You got Jordan. In December 18th, he led a group of investors putting $26 million into competitive gaming company Axiomatic Gaming, who owns Team Liquid.
Hmm.
Stefan Curry and Steve Young joined
Hmm.
forces, put 37 million into esports organization TSM.
Wow.
Yep. We did not know about that one. You got a little Steve Young action in there. Kind of going off the basketball comment you made, Kevin Durant and Odell Beckham, formerly of the New York
I heard
Giants.
I heard Odell Beckham had one.
Yep. Yeah, he contributed. Those two contributed 38 million fundraising round to Vision Esports, and then of course Drake is co-owner, one of the co-owners of 100 Thieves, due to his large investment, I'm sure. But I think it's pretty cool, man. It was kind of cool to read
I
a
know
lot of these people involved.
I know Steve Aoki, the DJ Steve Aoki owns a team too.
Really?
I don't know what team he owns, but I know he owns one. Yep. So I mean, yeah, dude, it's such. We've been talking about this forever. It's such a lucrative market. I mean, no matter what, this isn't going away. Esports and stuff like that. I mean, with I saw all the memes and stuff when we were going back and talk about Booga. Like
Yeah.
where everyone said, a 16-year-old just took a million and a half for playing Fortnite, and everyone would like turn back and look at their parents like, "See, mom, you can do this,"
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
then all the baby boomers and the 60 something year olds were all like, well, what do you mean this kid won all this money playing Fortnite? you know it, it's I've been hearing a lot about it,
Yeah.
because it was on like national news. And even my local news I was listening to on the way to work, and they were talking about this in the sports section. They were talking about this Fortnite Cup and that this kid won, and they're like, why would you watch some other person play a video game and stuff like that?
Yep.
We're bringing that conversation back up again.
Which seems to
But
never go away because that's a lot of the
yeah.
reactions.
Yeah, and you know what though? It's a lucrative market. If you
It
can
is.
buy into an esport team, I mean, I know personally that the team that I belong to, we're a worldwide team, or and it's in a lot of games are involved with it, and it's got to be lucrative for the people that we have on the teams. They go to tournaments, and between our own, they have jersey sales and our hoodie sales and all this other stuff, all of our merch lines and all that stuff. I mean, there's money in it.
There
There's
is.
a lot of money in it. So yeah, that's cool. Whatever.
Now, just kind of speaking about that, so had an interesting back and forth with somebody on uh, Twitter the other day about that kid, that 13-year-old who essentially is a professional Fortnite player now.
Yeah, she is a professional Fortnite player, and she's deaf.
What?
You're talking about what's her name? She just joined. She was the first girl. If we're talking about the same person, she joined. Oh man, I'm so out of it right now. I'm so out of touch with this whole thing. Did she join TSM?
Is that the one that Tim the Tatman brought up?
I could be. I have to look real quick. I know. I just know that there was a really young girl. She's
Right.
joined and she's a Fortnite player, and she's deaf. And so yeah, she's the first girl to join the team, and she's deaf.
That's awesome. And then I'll touch on Tenrukin's comment here in a second. But where I was going with it was, so for all intents and purposes, you get paid, you win this tournament, you're considered a professional esports player as a teenager, while in high school, middle school at this point, who knows? What happens when the NCAA gets their greasy hands on all this and gets involved with the college esports scene, which I think is bound to happen? Are those players going to be allowed to play at the collegiate level, or are they not going to because they've won tournaments at a professional level, and pretty much goes against what the NCAA is? Can't make money. We know how corrupt all that stuff is, but I think it's an interesting conundrum that we're going to have to look at as a gaming society at some point down the road.
Mm-hmm. So her name is Ewok, and she plays for FaZe. Sorry.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
13 years old, deaf, and she's the first deaf and first girl pro Fortnite player.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it is. It's amazing. And but you know what though? The thing is though, so what? That's what I always say. Like if you're gonna be 13 and you're gonna be a pro player, cool. But, back in the day, you could be a pro spelling bee champion, whatever, at 12 years old.
Afraid.
Whatever. If it's money, it's money.
Why'd you have to bring the spelling? I missed afraid my first or second grade spelling bee. I was so nervous I added an E onto the end.
Yeah. But
anyways,
yeah, what Ten Rokin's saying is true though too. I often say that to people. Well, why do you watch football? Why do you watch basketball? Why do you watch golf on TV when you can't be the one playing it, but you're going to watch it because it's entertaining? That's just the generation we live in,
Yep.
And the fact that they're the fact that they're bringing it up in a sense of like, well, all they're you always hear the people say the same thing. Well, that's not a real sport. I know there's like Twitch skills and there's thumb skills and all this stuff, but it's not a real sport. Don't call it sports, and which is true. It's not the same sport, but that's like saying that chess isn't a sport. Chess is a game. Well, so is Fortnite, but you can still compete at a national level or whatever, and you can win tournaments playing fucking checkers or whatever. It's just, this is what it is nowadays, whether you want it to be or not. It's way high schools are going to start having Fortnite teams and Call of Duty. Well, no, they're not allowed to have shoot. You can have League of Legends. You can have those
Rocket League
teams. Rocket League, yeah, you can have these teams, and so that's just the way it is.
Which, and I know that's going to be an area I think that you've got some interesting points on. We're going to hit towards the end. Yeah, wholeheartedly. It's it's like the adage of baseball. When you hit a home run, you're not supposed to sit there and admire it. It's Bush League, all this other shit. And people, who were, real stewards of the game back then are the ones who kind of have issues with it. It was like there was an announcer for, I want to say it was maybe the Mets or Phillies or somebody who was complaining about one of the players wearing chains around their neck while they were playing because they hit a home run. And, he was just being an old grouchy guy. And it was just, that's the same kind of concept. And we've talked at length about the whole eSports versus real sports and all that other stuff several times. But, I think it's interesting, and I think the higher level that we continue to get, the more money and stuff at the collegiate level. Personally, what I think is going to happen is the NCAA can't get a hold of this. It's got to be like a separate organization that kind of manages it at the collegiate level.
I always said the same thing. I liken this to, not on a sports level, but for what it's worth. I always said the same thing. You grow up, and when you're in school and you play music or whatever, you play guitar. And, people will say that, oh, you're never going to make a any of that crap music and stuff like that. And there's people that do, obviously. And, but then they get chastised for it when they do. It's people are always going to hate on success no matter what. If you're a successful artist, if you're a successful musician, if you're a successful gamer,
if you're a successful
podcaster, yeah. But whatever you do, you're going to get hate for it because everybody else doesn't have what you have. So, like, people were hating on, even at Ninja at first, when we were saying, well, there's this like blue-haired kid from Chicago who was making, 6 figures a month playing a video game that people want to watch. Well, yeah, there is. And whether you like that or not, it is, and I just, it drives me nuts that people hate on this stuff so much, especially with this. Like I said, I don't like the fact that you could go to college on a college tuition with, by playing Fortnite or by playing League of Legends. I don't like that, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be there. But I'm also not going to say
you
that
don't
the people
like
that
that.
do it are
Do you mean that's just not your thing, or you don't think that should be a thing?
I don't think, personally, if you're going to ask me personally for my take, I think that you go to, I'm the type of person that doesn't even think you should get a college scholarship for playing football. I think that you should go to a college scholarship because of your intelligence level, because of what you know in academics, and that your sport or whatever, your extracurricular should always be an extracurricular. It should be something like that's there in the background. It should always be secondary. Because I mean, like they always said, when you were in high school, did you have like football players and stuff like that would always get away with everything because they were good football players, but they weren't all the brightest crayons in the box half the time, and they always could be late, and they could miss school, but they always get a free pass because they play for your football team. Those guys go on to college with the same thing, where they can get a scholarship for playing well, and they're going to make a fortune in their future from doing this stuff, but yet they're not academically caught up with the rest of everybody else,
right?
Or on the same level, I guess I should say. So I don't treat video gaming any different. I don't think that you should be able to go to college from playing video games. I don't think that you should get a scholarship and have your college paid for while the rest of us are struggling to pay tuition because we're actually trying to do something besides play video games for a living.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's one of those rabbit hole conversations you could kind of get into, because I mean, at that point, then I would say the players need a salary because they're bringing money into that school at some point. They've got to earn something for it. But that kind of goes into, Man, that is such a that whole system is screwy. But
It is.
I think it's going to be
Like
interesting.
I said, you can't deny it though either. Like I said, it's not going. We've talked about them putting esports. I said from the beginning, I don't think that should be a thing, because I don't think that. But if it happens, oh well. I'm not going to change the world by saying I don't agree with it. And
they are still talking about it too.
Yeah, I know they are.
Chat is still there.
I'm not going to chastise people for agreeing or believing that it should be too. I mean,
right.
If you want it to be that way, cool.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Well, there's a couple more millionaires running around to invest in other esports teams at this rate. Jeez.
It's true. All
right. So, PlayStation 5. It's coming next year. Saw something crazy that some site is accepting pre-orders right now. And I want to say it was going like the pre-orders were up to like $700-800. If you had to guess right now, before I kind of get into this next-gen PSVR stuff, what would you guess the next generation consoles are going to come out at price point-wise?
I'll probably stick between the $500 and $600.
Okay.
$499, $599. That's usually where they start off anyway.
But they've been going up. Keep in mind, they've been going up. When PS3 came out, you know what? Maybe that's what we did for 2 generations. I can't remember for the life of me, but I feel like they've gone up every generation. I'd have to look though, because I know the PS3 when that thing came out, that thing was expensive too. But if I had to guess, I would say 600 is where we're going to be sitting at.
Safe.
Which, once again, you could build a computer for that price. But anyways, I won't go in there. Anyways, PS5 next year. Next gen PSVR will be wireless. If the patents that we recently came across have anything to say about it, going to cost $250 smackaroos, and can track eye movement, which my Rift doesn't even do right now. I don't even know why you would want that. But anyways, Inverse is reporting that some of those patents are going to come out and have some details about what we're expecting from the next generation PSVR. Again, $250, eye and head tracking technology, and can run wirelessly up to 5 hours of battery life, which there is, the way the Quest has been selling, like they cannot keep that thing on shelves. That's standalone wireless.
Even all that stuff, I still won't play VR.
You're crazy. So did 30 minutes. I checked today. My little Fit Watch, my little Garmin Fenix 5X that I love, wear it every day I can. Well, that's every day I could have an arm. But anyways, wear it every day. Just out of curiosity, and I will say those watches come with a little bit of error in them, but I did Beat Saber for 30 minutes. And Watch reported that I burned 356 calories, bro.
There you go.
Wife ran 3.1 miles, I think, yesterday. Today? No, today.
Don't do this, Ed. You're just gonna.
I gotta say it.
Something you don't.
Gotta say it. She burned 355.
Yeah.
Bro, all you got to do is play Michael Jackson Beat It on Expert Plus. Boom. You get the same workout. Play Beat Saber. Expert Plus. Expert songs. Swear. And there was actually an article about this where a guy was talking about how much weight he had lost playing Beat Saber. Dude, it's a friggin' word. I still love Beat Saber, man. That is pretty much my only go-to in VR right now. My kids are still playing all kinds of other crazy stuff in VR, like Rec Room, which is pretty cool. But, dude, fucking love some Beat Saber, especially with custom songs. Like, I can't believe that's not something that'd be right up your alley.
I have a real one. Mm-hmm.
You do. But can you play Taylor's? I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. I don't even know why I started.
Don't.
But I might be able to. I might be able to play Shake It Off on Expert on Beat Saber with a B. Maybe miss a couple minutes. But anyways, I think that stuff's pretty cool. I digress. Good job. So Sony's apparently aiming for a 560 by 1440 resolution compared to the Rift S, 2560 by 1440, 120 hertz refresh. Rift has 80, 220 degrees field of view on the PSVR as opposed to the Rift S with 115 degrees. That first generation PSVR, it did all right. There was some people that were happy with it. They brought Beat Saber. Get on this goddamn Beat Saber thing. They brought Beat Saber to it, but that seems like it was enough of a success that they're going for it again. And the fact that it's going to be wireless, because that was one of the biggest complaints I remember hearing about that PlayStation VR was how many wires you had kind of tethered to it. You know, especially in a living room setting, because that's where you imagine most of your consoles are going to be, in a living room. They are going all in for it. So much so that another leak suggests they may be working on a VR glove similar to that of Thanos.
Power glove. Oh, I thought you were going to say the power glove from Nintendo.
No, but that's a good one too, because it might as well be. You either got the Thanos glove or you got the power glove. God, do you remember playing with the power glove?
Mm-hmm. I had one.
You have or had?
I had. If I wish I still had one, I'd sell that thing for $1,000 now.
I'd want to see that thing. Oh my God, you can make some money off it. Those things were fun.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being that and then into VR Boy. Do you remember the VR Boy?
Yeah, the awful tennis game.
And I played the tank game.
I still can't look at anything red without getting flashbacks.
Oh my gosh, that thing was so awesome. And looking back on it now, I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking when I asked for that for Christmas or birthday and stuff. Because you had it on the desk. You had to put your face up to it. And you came out and everything looked like fucking Galaga for like the next, 3 hours. And it just red. You're absolutely right. The red is like the biggest thing I can remember about it.
Yep.
But I'll be curious to see what the VR, that price at $250, I think it's a nice price. And they're going to have bundles when it launches. I'm really surprised we're not hearing more about Microsoft because what was Microsoft's VR thing? They had like on the desk thing and all this other stuff. Just forget what it's called, but that one looked pretty good. But moving on, just a little bit more VR news before we get to two games that I want to talk about before we kick over some other stuff. HTC has the Vive Focus Plus. It's a $700 headset. Which, whatever, I'm not prepared to pay $700 for that kind of thing. But what is interesting about this headset is one of the big things that with the PC market today is you got to have a VR PC ready. You get motherboards now, like mine has VR ready in small red print on the back of it. So I know when I go to plug in my VR that it is willing, able, and capable to run the headset I'm about to plug in there. But anyways.
Mine's VR capable too.
Is it? You got an Alienware, so yours better be. Yours better be like 2 VR capable or whatever it is. Whatever's going to be next.
I know it's VR capable. I never mess around.
But what's interesting about this headset is that it's going to any VR ready PC can hook up to this Vive Focus Plus, and it's streamed wirelessly via 5 gigahertz network. And the sad part about all this is, because obviously I'm dipping and dabbing into the VR stuff, is that it uses the Vive port content, which is terrible. I got a bad library. Yeah. I've played I Think You Can Die, or it's something like that. It's not Dumb Ways to Die. That's a different game that my son's playing right now. That game's ridiculous, by the way. But it's like an arcade market for VR games, and they're pretty bad. But what I think is cool is, again, you'll be able to do it wireless over your 5 gigahertz network as long as your kids aren't streaming Tfue, Fortnite, Twitch videos, or cat videos on YouTube. I think it's going to be pretty cool. VR stuff. I love it.
Nice.
And then, lastly, this is my last 2 bits, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
Yay.
I'm a weather nerd. Believe it or not. I'm a space nerd.
I'll say a space nerd, yeah.
I'm definitely a space nerd, but I am also a weather nerd. So much so that I happen to be talking on Twitter to one of the local weather guys on Twitter who posted like this screenshot of like what the local radar looked like. What radar app are you using, bro? What is that? And he turned me on to this radar scope. Yeah, I think it's radar scope. Paid $10 a month. Or $10 a year. I think it's cool as hell. I feel like I'm Walt the weatherman right now. But where am I going with this? So one of the first things I did when I got my VR was look for tornado simulators. Me and my son love learning about tornadoes, watching tornado videos. Disappointed to learn 0. None. Not existent.
It's a small market.
Yes, it's a small market. VR naysayer. Anyways, Gary's Mod rescued us back in the day. There was some tornado mods for that one that were pretty... it's a Gary's Mod. I'll leave it at that. Still pretty cool for what they did. But imagine my joy when I came across not one, but 2 storm chasing games.
I saw you playing that.
Dude, yeah. All right. 2 of them. There's 2. One's early access that I have actually played, and I'll talk about OUTBRK after this. But what I have actually played is Storm Chasers by Little Cloud Games. It's early access. It's very early access.
Sure.
It's fucking early access. Like, it's early access. It's okay. It's okay. So the goal, basically, of the game is to shoot the best twister pictures without dying due to powerful winds, flying debris. You know, you're going to intercept storms in a multiplayer environment, try to get, more points than your buddies and all this other stuff, which I think is a pretty cool concept. Like, all kidding aside, I love seeing these kinds of games because I think they can teach a lot. Minecraft in the classroom and all this other stuff. And I think one of the best avenues to teach our youth today, I know teaching my kids, is with video games. Mm-hmm. This game is early access. It's rough. I played it on our Twitch channel a couple nights ago. I have not yet been able to link up with fellow storm chasers. It seems like it's either down, something's not working. I friggin' don't know. But I think bearing in mind it's an the concept of early access really is starting to piss me off these days because I'm paying less. I got it for $12.99. It's just you got to wait for it to pan out. But that's what you get when you get early access. Driving is rough. You go left, and I haven't done. Have you played many driving games on keyboard?
Not really. Not on my.
Okay, when you're driving your Sparrow in Destiny and you press A or D, whatever it is that you're using for your directional, does it feel kind of smooth?
This is what control.
Shit, that's right. Okay. Normal people, what I would pose.
Normal people.
Yeah, normal people. What I have the issue with is, and maybe this is just my failure for not playing many driving games on keyboard and playing on a joystick. When I press A while I'm driving my truck in Storm Chasers trying to chase down this badass EF5 tornado, I go from driving straight, turn left to whoom. I am that way, and it's rough. Every time I hit the button, and it's no smooth motion, and it's my own dumb fault for thinking, with the joystick, I've got some play when I'm starting to turn over there, but god damn, it's not smooth at all. But it feels kind of wonky. You expect to go all powerful on a fence and take it down, only to find out that wooden fence is actually made of vibranium. You may have heard of that. That's in Black Panther, the movie. And let me tell you, that shit's not moving. Your truck bounces off it.
Nice.
Not happening. Stuff like that. But I mean, like I said, early access game, the concept of it is cool. You got a little radar in your truck that you can kind of track storms down. For some reason, I did find it hard to believe that these 100 mile an hour plus winds couldn't pick up my probe when it was across the street from the tornado. But I think that's one of those things, again, early access. But it's got me curious enough to see where the game's going to go. Now, I'll have details of that in the show notes too. I would just wait a while till you pick it up. I think there's a lot of stuff, but the developer is really responsive, puts out, it seems like it's a single person developing it, puts out patches pretty frequently. I would just maybe wait a little bit, but let me tell you, the game I'm really excited about, OUTBRK. So Reed Timmer, pretty sure I'm saying this. Yeah. Reed Timmer, tornado show. You ever watch Netflix tornado shows? Probably not.
I remember Reed Timmer when he was on Storm Chasers.
Yes. So you know him, his Dominator. It's going to be an OUTBRK.
Oh, man.
Going to be an OUTBRK.
Happy day for you.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked. But so the really cool thing about it, and at first it was just a big misunderstanding on kind of my part. I thought at first we were talking about the same game. Then I found out these are 2 separate games, which is when I really got excited. Are done by it seems die-hard, weather geeks. And I say that with a lot of affection because I consider myself a weather geek, but not a very smart one. But they've got a Discord, very responsive. I was talking with one of the developers about a week or 2 ago about their game, and he was showing me the screenshots and stuff that they're doing. They really looked at how PUBG does foliage. New word. We're going to screen print that right there. Let me get that timestamp on that one because I even caught it. I don't even know where that came from. You guys know what I mean. Anyways, but the length at what they're going to get their environments involved in the, or not involved, but detailed in the game and stuff. Really excited about this one. Yes, that is, I just became a goddamn internet meme. Fuck.
Yep. That's
what I wanted to do.
Way to go, Dan.
But Reed Timmer's Dominator is going to be in the game, which I'm really excited about. And the crazy part about this is it seems like a lot of these famous storm chasers have really gotten behind this game. So I'm really curious to see where it goes. The developer does stream some of their level stuff and whatnot. I just saw the afraid comment. It's going to haunt me.
I'm afraid of foliage.
I'm afraid of foliage. Hey, we got this show name. I'm afraid of foliage. Really curious to see where the game's going to go. They are planning a Kickstarter, but they are doing stuff like, you'll be able to fully see the storm develop, the level, they use terms that I don't even fucking know what it means right now. I'm just so pumped about it, though, otherwise. Because I think that kind of stuff's cool. It's going to be a multiplayer setting, too, chase with your friends. But I think that's one of those things that not a lot of people obviously get to experience in real life, and the closest we're going to get to a video game. Yeah, and that's that. They're planning a Kickstarter soon. I'll have links in the show notes. At some point, I have dropped the bomb on them about getting them to come on the show and kind of make me smarter about it too. But yeah, they're interested in coming on. They're busy. That thing's going to be cool. I think it's a cool thing. Those are two games that genres that you don't see tapped into. I think it's going to be cool. I'm excited about that, Jay.
We call that a niche market.
Yes. I'm not going to say any other kind of words because everything else sounds ridiculous.
This is true.
But I turn it over to you.
Well, next week we will talk about, because we didn't get to really talk what's going on in the world of Destiny, but we'll
we'll hit that next week. That's delayed, in case anybody didn't know. October 1st.
Yep, but they're moving up the cross-save thing to the end of August rather than September now.
Which I need. I can't wait to play. I'm going to kick your ass in Crucible.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to go. I'll have my Hunter. My Hunter's coming on PC.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. No, but I actually just wanted to close the show with talking about, obviously, over the weekend we had a pair of tragedies of mass shootings. We had two of them, one in Texas, in El Paso, Texas, and one in Dayton, Ohio. We're not a political show, so we're not going to get into any kind of politics when it comes to stuff. But once again, video games became the forefront of it again, where they want to take it now to a federal level, where they want federal investigation into video gaming, as far as this being a cause or whatever. And it's going to be really interesting to see over the next few weeks what's actually going to happen within the video gaming world, because games like Call of Duty and Fortnite were put into the headlines very quickly. It's so bad that this stuff keeps happening, and that these things keep getting blamed for it, whether it be music or whatever people want to point fingers at nowadays. We were actually just talking about this the other day, that they said that, I think a while ago the CDC was talking about video game addiction as being a thing, and now they're actually backtracking on that, and they're saying that it's actually not a thing, and it's not considered a mental illness, if you want to call it that, of addiction or whatever. And it's so weird how video games keep coming in and out like this, where a tragedy happens, we're like, well, we got to blame Grand Theft Auto and we got to blame Call of Duty. And so if something does happen with this, where, like I said, they bring it to a federal level where they want to start investigating gaming, I don't know what you're going to do. What are you going to do, ban first person shooters? I mean,
yeah,
I just don't know. I don't know what they want. Now they're even like the I think it was the Republican representative from Texas was saying that he wanted this because Call of Duty was brought up in this maniac's manifesto, that he wanted to live out his fantasy as a soldier in Call of Duty. So I don't know, man. It's always funny to me that they try to ban Mortal Kombat, they try to ban Call of Duty, they try to ban Grand Theft Auto because these things happen. And it's always interesting that, for how everyone thinks that video games isn't a thing. Yeah, it is an addiction because of bad parenting with no responsibilities. I agree with that. It's everyone thinks that video games aren't, a big deal. They're, that people can't make careers on video games, and if they're just video games, how could you make a living off that? But then when something goes wrong, then video games are everything. and video games are a problem, and video games are this and that. I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be weird the next couple of weeks to see what happens with this, because I think it's just going to become a conversation that people are going to start having. You know, it seems funny that 3 days ago, before these shootings happened, Fortnite was the biggest thing in the world because, this kid just made $1.5 million off it, and one of the biggest streamers just, moved, and nobody knew what was going to happen with money and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, now they're the worst thing in the world. So I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore. Not about this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like this will be number 60. We've had a couple of episodes now. And I don't want to say we've had to defend games, but we've definitely been we've been put in that position of our hobbies, what we love to do, what we love to talk about, are being attacked, because of a political agenda, or whatever, all that mess aside. The fact of the matter is that it's an easy thing to blame. Well, it's the games did this, the games did that. And I know you had sent me that link, and that was the first I heard about games being, cited as one of the causes, or the reasons for this massacre. And actually, I want to look into what exactly they said. But I suppose because I spent $300 on wood last week, it's because of Fortnite. I wanted to build some ramps and, a walled palace in my backyard. Fucking Fortnite. Now I'm going to, sue Home Depot because of the amount of money I just spent on wood. But
I saw somebody say, which is right up your alley. I just bought 2 rockets to put on the front of my Trans Am because Rocket League made me do it.
Rocket League made me do it. But at the end of the day, you can point fingers, you can ban games. You are still going to be left with just people that are fucking crazy in the world. Yep. And there is nothing you can do about that. It's just going to happen. I mean, we can continue with trying to provide help and talk about this kind of stuff, obviously, because it's not going to go away. But you figure what do they talk about plane flights? Like your likelihood of dying is some insane number. Every time you ride a plane, you get involved in a plane crash.
But the media will make you feel otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. But you look at it, there are millions of people playing games every month, and for somehow, some way, they figure out how to be a big kid or an adult about it without going to shoot some shit up when they lose. It's just one of those things, man. It's people are going to be crazy. They were crazy before they started playing games. Games didn't make me do it. But I do think it's a conversation that has to be had. The ESRB is a joke. I was buying games that were rated, I forget what the old scale was, like teen or 17 and up. I forget exactly how the ratings went. When I was, a young teen, the cashier didn't know, what the hell the ratings even meant. Game companies had to pay to get that shit on there anyways. That whole thing is a ploy.
I actually I got carded the other day because I bought Diablo 3 for my Switch.
What?
Yeah. I did. Seriously. I went to Target and I bought Diablo 3 carded, and they scanned my ID because she's like, well, we have to make sure that you're 18. I'm like, well, I'm 40. So,
well, we know
thank you for that.
We know what to blame when you're sacrificing goats in the backyard.
Yeah.
Diablo made me do it.
Diablo made me do it.
It's sad. And I think it also shifts the focus away from, it was a tragedy that happened. And time right now is to kind of deal with that stuff and kind of look at it later instead of these rash decisions on ban games, do this, do that, or the other. And at the end of the day, parents be fucking parents. Watch what your kids are doing. There's signs for this kind of stuff. Pay attention. See what they're watching on YouTube. See what they're reading. See who they're talking to. And I swear, if we were just better parents or were involved, we're always trying to be better parents, obviously. But if people were more involved in what the hell their kids were doing, this kind of stuff, I don't feel like would be an issue. But I feel bad for that kind of stuff that happened, and we sincerely send our condolences to everybody affected.
We do. I said on Twitter a little while ago, I put up on Twitter, and it was actually that because you're almost like looked at really harshly sometimes if you say that you own firearms or whatever, or that you support firearms, and I put right on Twitter that, I love first person shooter games, but I also own firearms, and AR-15s included. And it's the thing is, though, I know the difference of playing Fortnite and playing Apex Legends, and then, you know, going out and doing these things. You know, it's so sad. It's sad that this is what it's come to, and that, yeah, that they push an agenda and they say, that they say that this is the cause, or this is the, you know, reason these things are happening, because it's easy to blame it. You know, I didn't go around. I loved Mortal Kombat growing up, and go because I played it.
Yep.
So I don't know. You know, it sucks that this is what we've come to, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. You know, if all of a sudden tomorrow Fortnite gets taken off the market because they want that to happen,
yep.
and you know what's going to what are people going to do? They're going to know what they're going to do. They're going to go play Destiny. They're going to go play Call of Duty. They're going to go play whatever else. You know,
yeah.
And the world's still going to go on.
It is. Yeah, and then yeah. But I guess on that note, we definitely got some other stuff in the works. One of your artist extraordinaire friends, I believe, has said he's going to join us at some point here in the near future. Jay's got to work out some details on that one. That one's in Jay's court.
Yep.
Young Khan.
Yep. Young Khan. We're going to try to get Young Khan to come on here and talk some shit with us.
Yeah.
He's always a pleasure to talk to. I've actually been on a podcast with Thor. He's actually going to talk to. We hung out at Guardian Con. We're going to do some talking about, he's an emote artist. He's one of the best emote artists I've ever seen.
Yes.
And yeah, so we're going to get him on, and we're going to just have some discussions with him.
And he's a swole nerd too. Right up my alley.
He's a big dude. He's
awesome.
a very big dude.
Yep.
But yep. So we got some stuff coming up. We're going to do this more live stuff too. If you guys like it, we're going to be streaming, doing some more live streams. We're going to work out some bugs that we have going on with it, but that going too.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think we talked about playing something after this. Are you still down?
I am definitely down. We're going to go play some Apex Legends. So if one of us will be streaming it, on either here, there, or one of our private channels.
Yeah. 10 or 15 minutes, Apex stream on the podcast show channel after show. Thanks for listening. I think, I've got nothing else. Thank you guys. As always, 1moregamepodcast.com. Any way you want to type it in there, the number, the letters, it's there. I fucking have every domain I think possible for this damn show at this point.
And just because they were here the whole time, we'll definitely give a shout out to Tenrukin. Tenrukin is an amazing artist. Recently, we started talking, and makes just the most unique stuff I've ever seen. It's not the typical, you know, I'm going to draw your Guardian artwork. It's a Destiny artist. Makes these amazing like tarot card things. They're really cool looking. I saw him at Guardian Con in person, actually.
Sweet. I'm going to check it out. Let's check out some of the work. We'll put his notes or his contact info in our show notes. Do appreciate you shouting out, coming by, because community interaction during this. We had it going real good for a while. We took our break. Now we got to build back up. But thanks for coming in and interacting with us while we do this, because it is obviously for the community that we put this together. But
it's true.
2 weeks from now, we're back at it again. Oh, I find out tomorrow if I get surgery.
Beautiful.
Hurt myself.
I didn't need to, but I did, because you're awesome. So shush. All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah,
we'll see you.
Take care. This episode will be on your podcast feed, podcast app in the next 2 days. Appreciate it.
See you later. You shut your mouth, Tenrukin. You know I love you.